Gonna make it work. Our unions make it work. The Union View.
Hospital organizing efforts half a century ago, 50 years ago. Mitchell joined Elliot Godoff and Marshall Dubin in the campaign that led to the union's first hospital election win, a 628 to 31 victory. So 628 people voted yes to have the union, and 31 people voted no.
Yeah.
They didn't want to have a union.
Can only imagine what happened to them.
Right. Well, I'm sure that they were still part of the union because the union was in.
That's right.
I mean, that's a huge majority.
Yeah.
A victory, December 30th, 1958, at Montefiore Hospital in the Bronx. How does it feel to be a delegate at Montefiore Hospital, knowing that Montefiore Hospital was actually the first hospital to sign?
It's kind of interesting. I mean, I started out in a smaller hospital. I mean, hospital work is all I've ever done. I mean, from my very first job, I was working in a hospital, and I was working in Mount Vernon, New York, at Mount Vernon Hospital, and that's where I first started off. And then from there, I worked there about a few years. We had a big old strike in 1984, lasted like almost 2 months, something like that. And after that, I jumped into one of the training programs and for pharmacy technician, and I went to Montefiore then. Okay. And that was in '86. So I've been there since '86. So it's been a while. It's been a while.
So your first you started out at Montefiore, at Mount Vernon Hospital. And what job title?
Transporter, X-ray department transporter.
And then you went into the training fund.
Well, before that, I had another couple of jobs within the same hospital. Okay. I was X-ray department transporter, did that for a few years. Then 2 years, I think. Then I went to be an orderly. And that's when they had orderlies. They don't have orderlies anymore.
Okay.
So I was an orderly, and I did things orderly-like, orderly-like. And then they laid me off. And because of the contract, even back then, I was protected.
Okay.
So I went into bumping rights, and I bumped somebody, and I got a clerk job.
All right.
In the outpatient department of Mount Vernon Hospital. From there, I saw a flyer for the training program for pharmacy tech, jumped into it, signed up for it. They accepted me. I went, and I ended up over at Montefiore as a pharmacy technician. You know, and from pharmacy technician, I did that for a little while, and then I acquired another classification position in Montefiore up on the 6th floor in the new building as an electrophysiology technician. And from there, we were displaced. And because of the contract again, protected us once again, didn't throw us out in the cold, and that's the whole reason we have to have a contract. Some people just don't see the safety in it until they need it.
Okay.
I mean, prior to me being in this place, I didn't know what this place was. I had no clue. And then when it happened, and I was left in limbo, and I was like, what do you mean this place? What's this place? I don't understand. What do you mean? They said, oh, well, you're laid off. And I said, really? And, you know, and then they said, oh, but don't worry, you got rights. And I'm like, okay, that's great. That's great. You know, so the contract came through more than once for me during my spin at different hospitals of 1199 and everything. And it's amazing how prior to those events happening, I never, you know, had a clue that I was protected under those things.
Right. Yeah. And it goes back to the saying, a union is better than no union.
That's right.
You know, it's better to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Definitely.
And a lot of times people don't recognize the value of being a union member. And that's why it's important, you know, that we do this show, that we talk about the union and unions in general, whether it be in hospital workers union or transit workers union, steel workers, bus drivers, wherever and whatever field of work, you know, a union is so important because when people know their rights, you know, as workers, and they know their contracts and what their contract affords them, then they're able to govern themselves accordingly.
Right.
You know, you have to know your rights and responsibilities as a union member.
Oh, of course.
You know,
of
as
course.
a union member, you have a right to all of the articles and provisions in the contract, and you also have a responsibility
Right.
to be a union member in good standing. And so, on that note, I want to talk about another one of the pioneers of
Bernie Minter?
1199. That's
I
who,
knew.
exactly, Bernie Minter. Bernie Minter, and Bernie Minter defined a union. Define what is a union. And a union is an instrument, according to Bernie Minter,
Right.
whereby the boss is compelled to stop doing what he wants to do, and instead he must do what the workers want him to do.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I love that. I love that. That's a slogan. That's a slogan. It should be printed on T-shirts. You know, I mean, it should be put on banners. You know, I don't know if you'd wear it to work. I mean, they might.
That's right.
They might be offended by it. I don't know.
Right.
But that's definitely a slogan worthy.
Right.
Definitely. You know,
Right.
because it's simple, to the point, and it's truthful. You know, with the contract, you know. You can get things done. You can get things done. You know, you have protection, you have accommodation, you have so many aspects of the contract will work for the member on so many different scales.
Right.
It's just a wonderful thing to have. You know?
Absolutely. And to go on, you know, I just want to read a little bit about Bernie. That was a key part of the teachings of Bernie Minter. You know, that slogan, as you said, that which should be on T-shirts.
Right.
It was a key part of the teachings of Bernie Minter, an 1199 rank and file leader for 25 years at Einstein College of Medicine in the Bronx, New York. Minter's twin achievements were his leadership of Einstein's strong 1,500-member 1199 chapter and his role as a teacher. He was a familiar figure at 1199 headquarters, lecturing young and old on trade union principles. After Minter retired in 1987, he and fellow Einstein delegate Joe James pioneered in starting and teaching the union's new members classes. And I can say that, you know, as a former contract administrator organizer at Montefiore Medical Center, one of my favorite parts of the job when I did that job was doing the new members classes, because it's, you know, teaching is a love. You have to love
Right.
to teach, and it has to be something that you do with passion.
Yep.
And when you teach with passion, then it shows, and the message is driven. And when it's given in that fashion, people have to come away with something.
They have to. I always like to think of it as nurturing with knowledge, you know, because here they come to you almost a blank slate. They might know some things, you know, but to feed them, to clothe them with knowledge, to feed them, fill them up with knowledge, to wrap them in knowledge and say, look, here's something that you can go away with. You know, I'm giving this to you. That's amazing. You know, that's why I think of it as nurturing with knowledge, because they're just like babies coming to you, and they, some of them, like I said, they've never been in the union before. They don't know the first thing to expect.
Right, right.
And here you go. You just clear the air and say, look, this is what we're about. This is what's going to happen. You're one of us now. We take care of our own.
Right,
You know,
absolutely.
and it gives them a little comfort, you know, and for some of them, it puts them on the right track, especially if they came from a job where they were under attack. They can immediately see the difference in having a union. A lot of people I know that, like, I have friends who were teachers, but not teachers in a union. They were like teachers in private schools and other things like that. And they used to complain to me so much about how they wish they had a union in the place where they work.
Right, right.
And I said, but you're a teacher, you know. And they said, no, but we're not in that union. We're all by ourselves. And I was like, wow, you know, amazing. So Bernie Minter sitting there, he has a legacy.
Yes.
He has a legacy.
Yes, yes. And that's like the best. The best thing you can do is to teach.
Oh, of course,
Is
yeah.
to teach.
Gonna make it work. Our unions make it work.
The Union View.